Hello and welcome to the CIBSE West Midlands region vlog and podcast. My name is Josh Brownlee and I'm joined today by Tony O'Toole from JPR. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Despite having a grammar school education, Tony at the age of 16 decided to enter the construction industry and became an apprentice journeyman electrician with Balfour Kilpatrick in their Nottingham office. Most of his apprenticeship was spent on projects across the Midlands, usually having to make his own way to the sites via train, bus and lifts from colleagues. After completing his apprenticeship, he spent the next 15 years gaining invaluable experience working on projects across the UK. During his mid-30s, Tony project managed his first project at the Bird's Eye Warms Distribution Centre at Hams Hall near Birmingham. Following the success of this project, Tony was fast-tracked through Balfour Beattys Management programme and eventually became the operations director for Balfour Kilpatrick's education project across the UK, resulting in extensive travel throughout the UK. Following the merger of BK and Hayden Young, Tony decided to leave BK and spent spells at SES, back to BB and JTL, J Tomlinson's, before joining JPR in his hometown of Stoke-on-Trent as head of major projects. Tony is an avid Nottingham Forest fan and has seen the highs and lows over the last 50-odd years, but is now enjoying life in the Premiership. Tony is also a keen golfer, but is currently struggling to get his handicap down due to a frustrating recurring back injury. That all sounds great, Tony. Education-wise, apprenticeships and training is how you got into the industry?
It is, yes. Like you said earlier, I did go to a grammar school, but an academic career wasn't for me. My father was a foreman in the construction industry, and he suggested becoming an electrician. I also had several friends who worked for Balfour Kilpatrick at the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham, and decided to join them.
And you like that sort of on the tools, working with your hands rather than in a classroom sort of education approach, I guess?
Yeah, I think for me, and it'll probably come out later during the discussions, I think having a hands-on approach early in your career sets you up later in your career. And, you know, my view on life is, how do you manage things if you don't know how things are being done? And
yeah,
that's my sort of MO, if you like.
Yeah, that practical reality of taking a cable and removing the insulating outer cores and twisting the actual conductors and then plugging them into the socket and the distribution board and all of the energization process. The practicalities and the reality of the time it takes to do that, from as you say, catching the bus or the train or walking or cycling or driving to site, setting yourself up, inductions, all those sorts of things, and then actually doing the work. There is that reality side to that, as well as the theory and theoretical side.
It's also understanding the experiences that the operatives have to go through on site, and having living their life in the past, you understand what their needs are in a better way.
Yeah,
you can be better.
Absolutely, yeah. So tell us a bit more about Bird's Eye Walls Distribution. Bird's
Eye Wall was quite a complicated project. Although it was a distribution centre, it was also a warehouse that went down to minus 30 degrees to keep all the burgers and all the Bird's Eye products frozen. So it was a very demanding and very interesting project at the time. So yeah, it was a good project to start my project management on.
Excellent. And that was managing all of the electricians and supervisors, and
at that time it was all the electrical works, the mechanical by others, and it was shortly after that Balfour Kilpatrick, like a lot of companies at that time, started selling themselves as an MEP organisation, rooted mechanical and plumbing trades and managers, and quickly all our projects became MEP projects. We were able to deliver the whole MEP systems, which is better for the client because projects became more coordinated and installed with, whereas before projects tended to be mechanical doing their own, electrical doing their own thing, and never shall meet. So that is a massive improvement when companies decided to go MEP, as the whole offering.
So you started off on Bird's Eye, or the first project that you project managed was the electrical side. So just for viewers that aren't aware, so that's all of the power, all of the lighting, any other services?
The BMS, the controls, the generators, the UPS, and all the sort of charges for the plant on site. And the wire on, but we did it on that project.
I'm guessing also the fire alarms as well?
Fire alarm security. Data was carried out by others.
And then expanding into the mechanical side of things, all of the ventilation and heating and cooling and water and other services, I guess.
Yeah, that came on projects later, towards the end of the 90s, where we were delivering the whole offering of the MEP services. So it was bent, chilled, BMS. It was whole delivery really.
And what's meant by becoming an apprentice journeyman electrician? Is that your journey into the industry?
That was on my deeds of apprenticeship on a paper copy that I actually looked it up the other day, because there was a bit of a thing on LinkedIn where people were showing their first JRB cards and things. And I had this paper copy from 1976 that said I was an apprentice journeyman electrician. So whatever the hell that meant, I haven't got a clue. But those you just had planes, trains, and automobiles to get to wherever you were going. No idea. But that was the trade I was indentured into.
Fair enough. And like you say earlier, being an electrician or a trainee or an apprentice electrician, getting to site to actually do the work that you're employed to do via, planes, trains, automobiles, whatever method you needed to do. I assume that's what you did, buses and...
Buses, trains, you had to be at a job at a certain time. You were told where to go. There was no Google Maps or anything. You just have to look it up in books and everything where you were going, and sometimes one of the streets earlier than you expected to be at site, just to make sure you got there at the starting time. It was a good learning curve for people then.
And typically, what was the starting time?
It tended to be 8 o'clock in them days, but a lot of people now on sites tend to start earlier at 7 to miss the traffic, and then finish early to miss the traffic. But at that time, it was generally 8 o'clock. Quite often you were leaving your house at 6, getting a bus to the train station and getting a train down to Leicester and places like that, from Nottingham to Leicester, and then getting another bus to the train station to get to wherever project we was on.
No taxis or anything like that, because they're too expensive, I guess.
Too expensive. That come later when you get expenses.
Well, as you say, the journey from 16-year-old all the way through to slightly older than a 16-year-old currently, that journey and gaining the experience is all valuable for developing you as an individual and as a professional within the industry.
I think so. It's all part of the learning curve.
So just thinking back to your JIB first card as an apprentice journeyman electrician, is there anybody that supported you in your career that you'd like to acknowledge or remember? Who signed that card first and foremost?
Fortunately, a lot of the people that sort of helped me in my career have sadly passed away. But there is quite a few that I would like to name. There was Sam Farr, who was a legendary supervisor at BK. He was a hard taskmaster, but he was also a great mentor. I learned a hell of a lot off him from the supervisory of the operatives and everything. And we had Ken Middlemas, who was a seasoned PM, who had a great commercial acumen and knew how to make profit from adversity. And then we had Nick Kinsey, who was a BK regional director, who gave me my first opportunity in senior management. And he was indeed an unforgettable character for the people who know him. Others of note, Gordon Galletley, Phil Maguire, Gary Black and Jason Butterworth. They've all been instrumental in my development of my career.
Excellent. A good list there.
Yeah. In 50 years, you meet a lot of people.
Some happy memories and some maybe not so happy memories, but some fond memories there, definitely.
I would say fond memories. Yeah, definitely.
Good. And nowadays, are you involved in any STEM or outreach activities to pay it forward, pay it back?
Over the years, I've been a big advocate of trying to attract school leavers into the industry. However, over the last 20 years, it's becoming more and more difficult with potential recruits being targeted by universities to get bums on seats. It might be controversial, but this is how I feel. Get bums on seats and to get a meaningless degree, and then they're thrown on the scrap heap. Whereas if they come into a trade like the M&E industry or construction industry, you go as far as you want. It is a brilliant career, but we don't sell it as a sexy career. So it's not what a lot of kids want to do. So it's hard to get attracted to the industry. Then recently we've got social media where everyone wants to be an influencer or a TikToker, and they don't really want to do construction. So it is getting very difficult to attract the right people. But we do. We take on JPR take on up to 10 apprentices a year, which is good for the industry. When I started at Balfour's back in '76, they had 5 key offices in the country. Each office took 20 apprentices on. There was 100 apprentices being taken on each year, and the retention rate was virtually 95%. When I left in 2016, that was, you could count on one hand how many apprentices they actually took on. Yeah. The retention rate was probably 20-30%. So there is a big issue in the industry of attracting the right people, retaining them, and keeping them future. It is a big problem, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, being able to show to A-level students and HND, HNC students, and then to sort of inform them and help them to get into the engineering degree or qualifications, and then show them that there is a potential for a rewarding and fulfilling career in building services, in M&E building services. It is a challenge. And then, with the apprentices, and trainees, knowing that you do need to put in the hours to be up at 5, to be out of the house at 6, to get to site for 7, to start work at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and then have a break mid-morning and a lunch break at lunchtime, and then to put in a decent shift over the course of the afternoon, to be back home by 6-7 o'clock and do it all again the following day to get that experience under your belt, because you might have the qualifications, but without the experience to complement that, then you're not the well-rounded individual and won't be getting the career potentially in the future.
No, I agree. Even the A-level students, there's a lot that want to go off into different routes, but we do have to fight hard to get them into this industry. And it's not just the M&E, it's across the board. That's what contracting, as I say to our guys, it's life. We just got to roll with the punches and try and do what we can to attract them. Yep.
And so of the early career years engineers that you've got at the moment, who are the rising stars? Anybody that you can sort of talk to us about today?
Well, over the years, I've seen a lot of talented people, but at JPR, we have a young lad. I'll name him. It's Jensen Limer, his name is. He's 17-year-old. For a 17-year-old lad, he's shown great maturity and talent for quantity surveying. And he's definitely one to watch for the future. We've actually nominated him for the Staffordshire Chambers Business Awards, and he's been shortlisted to the final 3. So hopefully he'll end up winning it, and obviously puts his name up in lights and JPR's name in lights. What he is, superb lad, one of the best I've seen over the years.
Excellent. Well, CIBSE West Midlands have got a series of awards that are announced at the annual dinner, so hopefully you'll put his name forward for that, and we'll hopefully, yeah. When are the Staffordshire Awards? When's the outcome known?
I think it's in the middle of July. I think the awards dinner is. But we'll know then.
Black tie?
Black tie, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you're taking a table, or you'll go as a nominee.
Well, yeah, obviously we'll have a table. And...
Okay. So what about net zero? What do you do? What do you know? How does JPR approach this net zero carbon?
But most of our projects are led. You know, now we have got quite a lot of experience in various disciplines of we have a good supply chain. So whilst the consultants or the client or drive down to drivers to a certain product or whatever they need, we have a great experience in selecting the right products, and we've got a lot of partners who support us in that. At the end of the day, it's pipes and wires. We've got over 100 operatives who are highly skilled in installing pipes and wires, so it's just a version of a team to us. It's a necessary. We have to do it, but it's generally consultant led. So
by that, it's designed to a point by another company.
Correct.
And we also,
yeah, we take the designs usually from stage 4, and we complete the designs, complete the installs. But generally, we're responsible for the product selection, and we have a really good supply chain that's been nurtured over the last probably 10 years. That can assist in going forward.
But as a business, I'm guessing you're sort of transitioning to electric vehicles and minimising your scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions.
Yes, definitely.
And getting EV chargers at your offices, and minimising waste.
Minimising waste. There's an EV charger that's into the office. There's a couple of us at the moment has got EVs, but obviously as to 2030, that'll be a big shift to EVs.
But if the consultant, if the consultant's design requires something, you're always looking for ways of complementing that and minimising or reducing the energies consumed by the systems that you install.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what about materials? So, as you say, a pipe is a pipe, and the material that pipe's made out of may differ from steel to copper to plastics, but obviously the renewable credentials for each of those materials differs massively. But the insulation of a cable is always plastic, I think, or a rubber of some sort with maybe some steel wire armoured cables.
Right.
But that conductor always needs to be of a metallic material. And as you say, the conductor won't work as any other material. So, but I guess sourcing those materials from a supplier and their carbon credentials is a consideration in your decision-making processes.
It is, yes, and it's also the packaging and what things come in or materials come in. And the cable drums, we try and return as much as we can. to stop stuff going to landfill. But some of the projects we work on are in the city areas. We're reluctant to put copper and particularly copper pipes in on buildings that are going to be, say, attacked and stolen. So we're always looking for different solutions to make the sites less attractive to the local natives.
Yeah, it's a difficult one getting the materials to site to feed the installation program. And I'm guessing that you guys are looking into modern methods of construction and prefabrication.
Offsite where we can. Just-in-time deliveries. We don't want to see cable drums stored on site and likely to be stolen. So yeah, there is quite a bit of prefab, and we've got ones in the prefab industry that support it.
Yeah, and that helps the overall installation process and program as well.
It does, yes. And at the end of the day, there's a reducing workforce out there because of the lack of training we discussed earlier. So the industry does need to look at better methods of installation, prefabbing, or because we haven't got them skilled operatives out there that can put it in. So we have to look at leaner, better ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the biggest surprise you've had in the last few months?
Surprise I've had in the last few months. Well, Nottingham Forest staying in the Premiership was a big surprise to me.
It's the last matches this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're already safe. So let the others fight it out amongst themselves. We're okay. I'm all right, Jack.
Are you keeping an eye on the McIlvenneys and Wrexham?
I'm glad they've done it. I'm really glad they've done it. It's good for football and it's good for Wales, particularly North Wales, which isn't too far from here. No, I'm really glad they've done it. Yeah. And not Anti as well. They did it as well. So,
well, I overheard a radio piece where they were talking about what they were looking to do, and that it wasn't just Wrexham that they were looking into, because there were a number of other clubs that were potentially interested at being bought out or having some involvement there. But yeah, in the end, they decided on Wrexham as the club, and fascinating seeing the story behind it.
It's got a massive catchment area, North Wales. Their nearest football teams is obviously Liverpool, and the Manchester club. So if Wrexham can do well, you can understand why they funded Wrexham, because of the catchment area.
Yeah. And you're a bit of a golfer as well?
Try to. Unfortunately, I took to golf too late in my life, and I do have a good knock around every weekend. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the social side of it as well. So,
good exercise as well, getting out and about in the open air, away from
5 mile walk and probably 6 miles from me, zigzagging across the course. But no, it's good. I do enjoy it.
And membership at a local club, or just?
No, I'm a member of Onley Golf Club, which is on the border of Cheshire and Staffordshire.
Good, excellent. Proudest moment?
Proudest moment? Wow. There's quite a lot. I mean, work-wise, there's a lot of projects that we've delivered that I'm quite proud of. Personally, obviously, children, the grandchildren. We've got 13 grandchildren between us. So that's takes up quite a bit of time. Probably why I started playing golf.
So keeping on the proudest moment work-wise, biggest project, largest project, fastest project, what are the headlines for you personally?
Well, the largest project I delivered was a £45 million Knowsley schools, which was 5 large schools in and around Knowsley on Merseyside. that was a good job to be involved in. And the next value down from that was Stoke Schools. We did 22 million, actually went out at 32 million. There's 120 schools that were either refurbished or newly built in and around Stoke, and we did that in 5 years. It was a big ask for everyone involved. We had 16 sites on the go at any one time, so it was good delivery.
As you see, big team helping to deliver that. And how many in your team at the moment? How many at JPR?
JPR, we've got over 30 people in the office, and we've got over 100 operatives out on site. We have also supplement that with 30, maybe 40 of subcontractors regularly work for us, and are seen as JPR really. We keep them going. So yeah, it's a decent sized team. It's a bit of a monster team feeding, but do it.
And we've spoken a bit about physical health, but what about mental health? And I guess the two of them intertwine with each other, with getting out on the golf course and spending time with the family. How do you approach your mental health?
I've been able to switch off when I go home, and I think that's a big thing. With me, work's work and home's home. And as soon as I get in the door and I take the dog out for a walk, I'll completely switch off. And it's probably not many people that can do that, but I actually can, and that does help. You do get the occasional 3 o'clock eureka moment in the morning where you wake up thinking about something, but I tend to be able to switch off. I've done that all the way through my career. Mental health is a big issue at the moment in the industry. You know, in people that's done things that it shouldn't have. But we've just all got to be conscious of it. Keep talking.
Yeah, I think the working from home COVID piece was can be quite challenging, because you don't have that time in between to transition from work to home life. So yeah, even changing your clothes, or as you say, taking your dog out for a walk at the end of the working day to relax or transition from work mode to home mode, it can be invaluable for people working remotely.
I think so. And the working from home, to be honest, I'm more Luddite in that. It wasn't for me during COVID when we were allowed to work from home. It didn't suit me at all. Quite a sociable creature, and I do like the interaction of people.
Are you a member of any institutions or professional bodies?
I have been in the past, and I've sat on the Education and Training Committee of the ECA for many years. But to be honest, at my stage in my career, I don't feel the need to be a member of any institution.
And what advice would you give to someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
As we said earlier, I think the best route into sort of senior management is to learn the trade first, then go on to your sort of distant learning courses to help you out, or whether you do bridge courses into university. But I would always say learn the trade first that you're managing, so you totally understand what you're delivering.
And do you have any role models, or who do you look up to?
Without a doubt, it will be Brian Clough. He'd be my role model, but even nowadays, I think he'd struggle with the sort of social media, TikTok, and players dancing around in dressing rooms half naked. I don't think he'd have that, but Brian Clough is by far my role model.
Read his books?
Yeah, very much so.
Good.
The best manager this country's ever seen, but they never used.
Where do you see the industry going next?
I think buildings will have to become more modular as we go through. That will lend itself to a lot more prefab offsite. because of the shrinking workforce and reduction in, decent tradesmen, I think the only way forward is to go up more off-site, and then maybe, dare I say, automated through AI. It's hard to say, but I think buildings will become more square boxes as we move forward. Make it simple, which is what they should be anyhow. Because in my mind, the heart and soul of a job is the M&E. The building should just be a box that keeps it dry around it. But we tend to build things that are sort of monuments to the future, if you like. But there's no need for a lot of buildings to be like that.
Yeah, that complexity brings cost and not just installation costs, but operational costs as well for the life of the building, which we always need to be mindful of.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously most in the last 25 years, most projects have become design and build. But what we find is the MEP comes to come to the party much too late. We don't get procured early enough, so we can make a difference at the early stages. So by the time we get involved, you might get a job on a Friday and you've got to start on the Monday. The building shape and size is already dictated, and quite often we can't fit things in. So me going forward, the M&E's got to be procured a lot earlier in the process so that we can make it in the delivery of the bill.
Yeah, as you say, it's the internal organs of the building, the structure and the facade and the envelope looks good.
They're secondary to me. Just get the M&E right, and then just build a box around it. Simple.
Excellent.
If only it could be that simple.
If only.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today and for sharing what you have. Just a couple of last questions, if I may. I know you mentioned golfing, footballing, and dog, but I don't think we know which breed of dog you've got.
Got an Irish Terrier. It keeps us on his toes. It's she's a bit of a diva.
Daily walks.
Daily walks, yeah. I take her out first thing in the morning. And the wife will take her out during the day, and then when I get home, I'll take her out at night. So, yeah, very energetic. Very energetic.
And watching the football this weekend in person or on the TV?
I'll be watching it on TV this weekend. Got quite a lot on this weekend, so.
Well, with it being bank holiday weekend, I'm guessing the barbecue will be fired up for the 13 grandkids.
Hopefully one of the kids will have something rather than all descending on me.
Good, excellent. Well, as I say previously, thank you very much, Tony, for joining us and sharing. If anybody watching or listening would like to share their thoughts with us, please don't hesitate to do so. Also, if you'd like to feature on a future episode or know of or can think of somebody that you'd like to find out more about or is an inspiration to you, please get in touch. Please like, comment and share, and we look forward to the next episode of the CIBSE West Midlands Region vlog and podcast. Tony, thank you very much.
Thanks, Joss.